love to tell you where to buy the extra piece, the extra fine needle for the syringe, and I have no idea where it comes from. Somebody actually sent me these as a gift, and I'm on my last one right here, so when I'm out of it, I'll have no idea where to get this. It's a little, see, this is the end of the syringe, and then it has this long, fine needle that goes onto it, and I have no idea where you get this from. You know, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I don't know what the tube is because the tube doesn't say on it any, like, type of standard. I'm not familiar with it because I'm just a lowly, electronics tech. I'm not, like, a, fucking college graduate, worked at large corporation ordering standardized materials person. So I have no idea what this is. I would be totally willing to pay for it, but I look up syringe thing, and I'm going to find a bunch of them, and fuck if I know if what I buy is actually going to fit. How do you know when you're buying stuff on the internet that it fits your little syringe thing? How do you ask for help on these matters? How do you tell somebody, hi, I have this type of syringe thing. Do you have a needle thing that fits my syringe thing? One of those. It's one of those, like, where I know what I want, I just have no fucking clue how to get it. I should probably put 10 or 20 minutes of time into figuring that out someday. But instead I will put that time into editing a YouTube video because, well, this is just kind of more fun. Teaching you guys how to do this stuff is far more productive, in my opinion, than getting getting another set of syringe tips. Plus, that's boring anyway. Alright, so we're in there. I think we're good to go. Now, I'm going to turn the air way down on the JBC hot air station. The air cannot be high when you're doing this, because then See, here's the problem that I was having with the Kester EP256. I'm not going to say it's a bad solder paste. It's actually a good solder paste. It's just not the best solder paste, because it has a tendency, with it for the ball is to kind of jump out. Like, if the ball would jump out. Now, in the middle, I expect that to happen, because this is not the right stencil for this SMC. Just keep that in mind. I'm using the wrong stencil because I don't have the proper stencil. So these balls over here don't have a solder pad under them. Those, of course, those are going to jump out. I expect that naturally to happen. What I don't expect to happen are the balls that are inside, the solder paste that's inside of the stencil holes, where there's a pad on the SMC under it. Those I don't expect to jump out. So this stuff overall, I've noticed, is just a little bit more stable in terms of, balls randomly jumping out. I'm at 360C and 50% air on the JBC JTA. Very reasonable temperature. Remember, you don't control temperature from the interface. You control temperature with your hands. You control temperature with distance, with angle. So if I want an area to get hotter, I go closer and I change the angle at which I'm pointed at it. If I want an area to get cooler, I take the iron away, or I point it slightly in a different direction. And a ball just tried to combine and turn into another ball. That was actually from my bad cleaning, so I can't really... Hey, get out of there. Shoo. That has nothing to do with the actual product. That has to do with me sucking at cleaning the stencil. We're just going to grab that excess. Oh, that actually went better than I thought it would. I'm going to grab that little excess ball over here as well. There we go. Now, some of it is not perfectly melted like the stuff at the bottom. This wasn't a particularly great job that I did. But see, this is the good stuff about having good equipment, good tools, and good materials, is that I actually did do this was a pretty bad job. Like, by anybody who does this for a living, they would look at what I've done here and say that this sucks. And even though I did a really shitty job, it still worked. Like, you can get away with a greater level of idiocy when you're using better tools than you can when you're not using the good tools. I don't have to worry about how much I suck as much as I would if I was using, crappier stuff. And the ability to suck is a really, really nice luxury, I would say. Let's get those bottom balls that didn't melt all the way. Okay, I'm going to remove the stencil now. So first I'm going to remove the tape nice and slow. The thing is, you don't want to rip balls that are... You don't want to rip off the stencil if the stencil has kind of gotten cold around the balls, because when it gets cold, it's going to contract, and then the ball, it's going to rip the ball off and take the pad with it. So I'm not going to heat it necessarily to melt solder. I'm just going to put some heat on this just so that it expands a little bit and allows the stencil to come off without ripping anything. Good stuff. And the stencil just got sucked into my air filter. Great. I have to pick that out later. So now a couple of items of concern are going to be this little ball that wants to combine with another ball. That little ball there is a little too big. Those are both concerns that I'll be able to address in a second. First thing I'm going to do, just to even everything out, since I have every ball on there, is I'm going to put some flux. And with the flux, I'm going to put the temperature in the air a little higher because I don't have to worry about things jumping. The balls are already stuck. And since the balls are already stuck onto the pads, you know, they're gonna kind of stay there. So I don't have to worry about jumping as much. Or at all, really. We'll do this, and the balls are going to even themselves out very nicely. See how everything's kind of sliding its way into place? That has something stuck there that shouldn't be there. And now we're good. All good. Okay. Yeah, this one could look a little nicer. The one on the corner there could look a little nicer. Oh, beautiful. I think that this is a sexy set of balls. So now we're going to go back to our board, and we're going to solder this on. And pray that, again, there's a lot of praying involved here. So I took this off of a piece of shit dead board. Now I have to kind of hope that the piece of shit dead board wasn't dead because it had a dead SMC. If the piece of shit dead board was dead because it had a dead SMC, then I've wasted a good amount of my time. That would suck. That would be awful. So let's see. So let's get orientation here. The orientation of the SMC is... Luckily, it has this over here, which... This is a dead giveaway of orientation. And just in case you forget it, it's put on the chip for you so you can't. So we're going to add some flux here. I'm going to take my chip and I'm going to try to wipe off some of this excess junk on it with another clean room wipe. And then you'll see how I handle the excess flux that I have on the board there. I'm going to move the chip around and then push it nice and flat on the board.